Don't go down there. Shark's gonna bite you. It's got the nibbles. If your toes get too close to it, it's just gonna go nyah.
What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the sequel to 47 Meters Down. That is 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. I need your comments down below. Have you seen this movie? Did you enjoy the first one? I wasn't the biggest fan of the first movie. I actually didn't watch it until recently. If you're following me on Letterboxd, you saw when I logged that, and I didn't like it. I didn't really enjoy. I liked the premise, but the execution wasn't all there for me. Did this movie improve on that? We're gonna get into it and let's talk about it. So 14 girls diving in a ruined underwater city quickly learn they've entered the territory of the deadliest shark species in the claustrophobic labyrinth of submerged caves. Pretty cool little cast they have here too. You have Sylvester Stallone's daughter in there, Jamie Foxx's daughter. They're not the leads, even though they got top billing on IMDb, but it's basically your cliched group of 4 girls, but instead of going down in a cage like they did in the first movie, which provided for a handful of scares, but the dialogue and the execution and the script and all of those aspects of that film took away anything that could have impressed me with the tension, and really the filmmaking wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen in the first. You carry what worked about the first over into the second, and I will say, to start this review off, I didn't love this movie, and I don't necessarily think it's a good movie, but it is a slight improvement on the first. There are more things to provide what I think the audience is going for here, and that is scares. We go to get scared, and if you have a fear of holding your breath underwater, or claustrophobia, or just a fear of the dark, all of those things are explored in this movie, and it's also a good showcase for the sharks. Now, the sharks, they don't look the best they've ever looked on the big screen in this film, but it's low budget. I can get past things like that. I have some questions here and there, and we'll talk about the script and the dialogue here in just a bit, but the intensity is there some of the time in this movie, and there were moments where I sat back and I went, you know what, as much as the script is not capturing me, the filmmaking in this particular moment, whether they're exploring the caves and just the way that the camera moves throughout that, or the color of there's a certain moment when a siren is going off underwater, and whether in a cave it's completely dark except for this red flashing light that provides for a really cool and intense scene, and one that allowed me to appreciate the film a bit more than I did prior to that, because prior to that moment and certain moments within the cave, it really is just a slog of a film, and it takes so long for the characters to get to where they need to be, and I had the exact same problem with the first movie. The first film, I believe it was like 42 or 52 minutes in, I wrote it down on my Letterboxd, that's when the tension started to ramp up and the sharks actually kicked in. It's a long time to wait, and if you're not in on what the characters are doing, and if you're not really enjoying their story, then that's just 52 minutes of nothingness, and it's the same case with this movie. Nothing happens until like 20 minutes in the movie, and then you have to wait another 20 minutes for the shark aspect to kick in. And sure, they're swimming around every now and then, but it really doesn't amp up until the main end of the film. And by that point, if you're not latched on to the characters, which I don't think you're going to be, then you may not be on board for what this movie is providing, even though, like I said, I think the filmmaking aspect is a bit of a step up from the first. And it really is just this cheesy B-movie with sharks. Now, there are more things in this film to get scared by than the last. Instead of being in a cage and having to go through the sharks to get to the top, you're kind of trapped in these caves. You have to explore your way out, then you have to climb, and then you have to go through this obstacle. I don't necessarily want to say what that is, but there are multiple obstacles to get through, and it provides for more of an adventure, whereas the first movie tries to just ramp up the tension in moments, the obvious tension, the predictable tension. This film does that as well, but I do think aspects of the intensity worked better in this film, as well as the ending, where the first movie tries this bait and switch that fell completely flat in my opinion. This movie is straightforward. The characters get to where they're going, and they basically have to survive. Nothing unexpected there, but it's the script and the one-liners and the moments between the characters and the bullies who come in and push the girls in the pool, and they're just like, you're a loser. Jamie Foxx's daughter kept repeating it at the beginning of the film, we're not sisters. We're not sisters. She is a loser. No one likes her at school, and that means that they don't like her. They're not gonna like me. I'm not gonna be popular anymore. And this poor girl, who I would consider the lead of the movie because it focuses the most on her, she continues to get peer pressured into doing things that clearly are dangerous. These characters are ridiculous. And I get it. You're not going to get this movie without them getting themselves into that situation, but at least write it in a way that's semi-convincing. It is such an insane thing that they are doing. It's such a dangerous thing that they're doing, and even when they're down there in the midst of the darkness in these caves, they're like smiling and having these sweet conversations. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Shark! And they're swimming through the caves, and they're just like, oh my god, your butt is so big it takes up the entire cave. And the girl's like, yas, and I'm sitting there like, shh. And I can't get past that stuff, guys. The acting and the dialogue, it's so bad. When you get to the thrills, they're there, they're intense. And I did like this a bit more than the first, but I didn't like the movie. It's just not a good movie. It's entertaining in a way that you can look at it and kind of make fun of what the characters are doing because the situations are so stupid. And then when you get to the end, something keeps happening. Like, the characters are there, and I'm not going to say what happens, but it keeps happening over and over. And I'm like, is this over yet? This has been happening for 5 minutes. Just end it. Overall, here's what I'll say about 47 Meters Down Uncaged. If you had a good time with this, I completely see that and I get it because it was kind of fun. It's one of those movies that's kind of bad, but bad in a way that's entertaining. So I can't crack down too hard on this in terms of my score. I'm still going to go low. I'm going to go 38% for 47 Meters Down Uncaged, but that is higher than the first, and this one is at least moderately entertaining. Maybe not in a good way, but hey, entertainment is entertainment. That's why we go to the movies, and I don't blame you guys if you actually enjoyed this film. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You're the absolute best. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you very soon.